How's it going, everybody? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Valaga. I am a junior at Miami University. Very passionate about birds, ornithology, hence, the making of this video. President of the Audubon Society chapter that we have there, campus chapter, Miami University Audubon Society, which leads me to my next thing. For those of you who do know me already, that are from the Bird Club, thank you very much for being here, for watching. I really appreciate everybody sticking with me here. I know it's been a crazy couple weeks with coronacation and everything like that. Like I said in the email that I sent out, for anybody who has had any plans at all that have been ruined, I just want to say I'm sincerely sorry. I had a lot of excitement for this semester for plans that we had as a club, with raptor handling and all sorts of cleanups that we could do, birding trips, and I'm genuinely sorry that this is the way that this has turned out. That being said, I don't want to quit on giving you guys information or content or anything like that, so if you're here right now sticking with me, I just want to say thank you so much. Your support as I've been trying to figure out how we're going to get through this as a club together has been absolutely integral, and I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to be involved with in the birding club. So without further ado, today's video is going to be on how to use eBird, both the online desktop version and the mobile app. We'll start with the mobile app just because it's fairly straightforward and it's what you're probably going to be interacting with most, especially if you're birding. But I'll look through the desktop too, just because there's a lot of really cool information and stuff that you can find on the eBird desktop to help yourself plan for birding trips, learn a bunch about birds that you want to see. So we're just going to go through all that. I figured best place to start would be at the beginning, so we'll just start there, go from there. If there's anything that you guys would like to see from future videos, anybody that you'd like me to reach out to, see if there's stuff I can get from them as well, hit me with a comment now that I have apparently a YouTube channel. You can send me an email. I'll shoot my email address up at the end of this video. You can follow us at our social media platforms. If I have any information that I'd like to communicate with you guys, I can do so through there. I'll throw those handles up as well. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. So go hit us with those follows if you're not already. Without further ado, let's look and see how to use the eBird app. All right, so before we start anything, first off, if you don't have the eBird app already, it's free on Google Play and Android, or Google Play or the App Store. So you're not paying anything to use the services, which is super awesome. Makes it easy to use, convenient, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to open that up. And this is the base screen that's going to open up whenever you open up eBird. And this is going to be the screen that you use to start submitting a checklist. We're going to go into that after I go through the other tabs, just because once I start a checklist, we're not going to be able to really stop that and back out. So rather just go through the other stuff first. The My eBird tab, briefly. So it's going to show you, by default, your Will County. So that's your county right there. And then you can sort that if you want to zoom out to your whole entire world, which is what I usually do when I open up the app, just because I like looking at my total life list. This is going to give you the numbers, specifics of your life list and everything like that. How many checklists you've done, how much you've seen by year, all that good stuff. Pretty simple, pretty basic, not many bells and whistles, because the eBird app is mainly just for submitting checklists. So it's not like the desktop version where you have a bunch of information that you can look at, species range maps and all that stuff that I'll show you guys going through the desktop, the website. But if you want to look and see what species you have in your life list, you can click these green letters that says 204 species. We're going to click that. That's going to take you into your life list. By default, it sorts by the date that you logged it, by the most recent at the top. So like yesterday, I logged purple finch for the first time, so it's going to show me that one at the top and go all the way down the further back I've gotten. So the first bird I ever got was actually northern cardinal. But that's just based on what you've logged in your eBird. If you want to change the sorting, I know some people sort by the taxonomic group. I know it makes it easier to put in books if you're ever, trying to put in like an in-person hard copy life list. I know they make a lot of books for that. So we'll click those green sliders in the bottom right corner, and that'll give you different ways to sort it. So if we click taxonomic, now you can see it'll sort by taxonomy with like, you got your ducks and your geese first, and then scrolling all the way down to like your songbirds and all of that, your passerines. So that's the basics of the My eBird tab. Checklists really quickly. It'll give you two different choices. You've got your not submitted and your submitted. Not submitted, you can always go back in and you can edit those and submit them. It's really not super important, but like if you stop the track or if your eBird accidentally closes out while you're using it, you still have those checklists there so that you can go back in, either continue them or, anything like that. And if we look at our submitted, which is what I usually end up using anyways, you can see that it has, just the basics of what you're looking at. It'll tell you the location, whether it was accepted or not by your eBird reviewer. And then, the number of species reported, how, what date it was. Pretty basic stuff, but you can click on these checklists. So let's look at, the Houston Woods one right here. If we click on that, it'll give us the actual list of everything that we saw, sorted by taxonomic group. So easy to find what you're looking at here. It'll give you the number of species that you've reported, whether you were traveling, you were stationary, which we'll go through that later, how many people you were with, how long you were, that's in minutes, and then the distance if you were traveling. And what's really cool about this, if you click this little map, this green map right there, it'll actually show you the GPS of what your track was. So as you can see, I started out here, Houston Woods Marina, came up by the parking lot right here, and then kind of came up to the group camp area. Obviously, if you're not acquainted with Houston Woods, none of this means anything to you, but as you can see, it just shows you GPS coordinates, which is super nice if you want to go refer back to a certain birding date and see, where you're going, if there's a certain place that you like or something like that. So we'll close that out, and now we'll close out the list too. And last but not least, and actually probably most importantly, we'll go to the Submit tab. Like I said before, super easy to use. They make it very user-friendly. A lot of older people use this just because it's made so that anybody can figure it out, even if you're not very technologically savvy. So we're going to start a checklist whenever we start birding. So like if I were to leave my house right now and be walking down the street just looking for birds, I'd start the checklist when I leave the house. So it's going to determine my position and all that. What's really nice about this is that it'll auto select where you are based on GPS. So like you saw how it was recording what my GPS data was on that the map that I pulled up. It starts doing that automatically. You don't have to put in coordinates like you would if you were to submit on the eBird desktop. And from there, based on your location and what it's looking at for where you are, it'll give you a taxonomic list based on what it thinks that you potentially could be seeing. Now, there's little icons in right next to each bird, and none of these birds that are popping up right now are going to be flagged if you report them. We'll talk about flagging a little bit later. The half circle thing with the little orange and then the white, that just means there's an uncommon species here. So if you were to say report 20 wild turkeys in suburban Naperville, eBird's gonna flag you and say, hey, can you just prove that you saw 20 wild turkeys, and you'll be well on your way. You'll just submit that with a comment in the checklist. And then the red just means that it's never been reported in your area. The red shows that even though it's not been reported, it'll still accept it without really much of a look over, just because it theoretically be expected to be there. It's not like, per se, if we were to search, you can search by species name. So let's say I think I saw a rufous hummingbird. So rufous hummingbird would not be expected at all near Naperville, Illinois, right outside Chicago. And that's why you're getting this R in the right side of it. That just means it's a rare bird alert. So when you add that to your list, which I'll show you guys how this works, to add a bird to your list, you'll hit the plus sign right there. If you add that to your list, they're going to ask for more commentary, for pictures or something like that, just to prove that that's the bird that you saw, because that is abnormal for what you should be expected to see. So we'll back out of that, And now if you go to this check mark in the bottom right corner with the one in the right corner of it, if we click that, it's going to take you to your list of everything that you've reported already. What's super nice about this is rather than sorting through all the species based on taxonomy to find what you're looking for, you kind of just type in whatever you saw, and from there you can either hit the plus sign, and every time you hit the plus sign or whatever number it is, you will add another bird to it. Or if you click on the species name itself, you can just kind of put in and type in the numbers, breeding codes, and won't really discuss that much. You can add any comments. So like with those rare birds, you can add comments saying that, you know, I saw this, which is what makes it a rufous hummingbird and all that. So we'll click done. And so that'll add that to your list. So I think we can go on basically now. So we'll click stop once we're done birding. So let's say I've finally gotten back home. I've seen my 12 mallards. I've seen my rufous hummingbird. We'll click stop. And eBird will ask you either if you're done or if you want to keep birding. If you're still walking, let's say I'm down the street and I'm still walking, I'll hit keep birding and everything like that. But stop track, once I click that, that means that the GPS is not tracking anymore. I can still edit what birds I saw, and I can add to that list, but it will not track my location anymore. So we're going to click stop track. And then it's going to give us this warning flag that we need to choose a location. So we're going to click that. And it'll give you, you know, addresses or everything like that. A blue pin just means that that's a location that has, I'm pretty sure, been birded before. And then that red mark with the fire right there is going to show you that is a eBird hotspot. So if you want to ping it to just a certain hotspot, let's say I'm birding the entire Springbrook Prairie Forest Reserve, I just click that. Or if you want to go into the map, you can see it'll show you your track, and then you can choose your location based off, you know, what looks right for you. The green one is the one that is automatically selected. I'm just going to use that location. I haven't gotten off of my chair anyways, so it really doesn't matter. So it's going to set that as your location, and then it'll give you the list. You can click, if we click the stationary here with that little drop down arrow, that'll give us what potential observation types we have. Automatically it's selected stationary just because, like, you know, I haven't moved at all. But if we were to say, you know, have been walking down the street, we'd click traveling, and then it'll give you, you know, different options based on that. And then incidental is just based on, you know, if there's, let's say I walked outside, I just saw a great horned owl, and I said, wow, I just have to report that on eBird. I'm just going to be reporting that great horned owl. I haven't put in any time. I wasn't birding. It's just I saw the bird. And eBird is going to list that as incidental, which just means that you haven't identified everything that you potentially could because you weren't trying to. So it's not going to use that in its massive database just because it's not a full scope picture of what actually was going on. So for now, we're just going to click stationary, and then it'll give you the options of observers. You can add to that just by clicking on it and typing in how many people there were. And if you add more people, let's say I was birding with 12 people, that I don't even have that many friends, then it'll give you the option to share checklists with people, and you can just type in their usernames, and it'll share that checklist automatically with them, and they can either accept it or refuse it based on, it'll send them an email notification. The amount of minutes, how long you were birding, if we were doing a traveling birding track, how many miles you were. Then what's really important is in order to submit a checklist, you have to say, you know, that this is a complete checklist of the birds that you were able to identify. It won't let you submit unless you do that, just because, again, this is a really big science and data forum, and it's really important that anything that you were able to identify, you're putting in. Even if you saw 20 robins, even if you heard 30 blue jays or something like that, it's annoying to keep clicking them. It's important to get that data just because that all goes into migratory bird research, and we want to make it as clean of data as we possibly can. So we're going to click yes, and that's going to allow us to submit. And then right here, these the highlighted orangish yellow bird right there, that's our rare bird that it pinged. And as you can see right here, it says comments required. That means it's not going to let us submit the list unless we throw comments on it. So let's just type seen. You can type a lot of different things. If it's a bird that everyone's been reporting, you can just say continuing, because the eBird reviewer has already checked the bird. They know what bird it is, but it's always good to kind of go through with your IDing and just say, you know, what makes it different than, say, a ruby-throated hummingbird. If you want, later on, you can submit pictures if you take any, and that's really good for helping eBird reviewers check and make sure that you've gotten it right. But it's not going to let you submit a list unless you put some sort of comment down in here, just kind of denoting why you think it was what you thought you was. And then from there on, we would hit continue, and that would allow us to submit the checklist. I'm not going to, just because for data purposes, and also there's no way I saw, oops, this is my bad, I accidentally hit continue. And there's no way I saw a rufous hummingbird, so I'm not even going to try and do all that. So that's the basics of the eBird app. Like I said, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So nothing really more with that. But now we're going to switch over to the eBird desktop, just because it has a lot of really different cool information that we can dive into as well. So now here we have the eBird desktop, eBird website, ebird.org/home. And before we even begin anything, you're going to want to make sure you're logged into your account to get, the full capabilities out of it. There's a lot of cool personalized stuff that you can do with this that is a lot different than the online app or the phone app, the mobile app. Start right here. You can see basically the same exact stats that you see on your My eBird tab on the mobile app. So it's going to show you the species that you observed, how many complete checklists you've had, all that stuff. Just like with the app, if you go in here, you're going to get a life list that pops up. One thing that's really cool about this is that you can actually, if you click this button here, you can download your life list and print it out if you want, for whatever reason. I haven't, but there's nothing that says you really can't or anything like that. Similarly, if you go in your complete checklist, you're going to have the same exact stuff here, and you can actually go in and edit any of the checklists that you've got, or you can go in and share them after the fact. So if you don't know your friends, that you've birded with eBird usernames, and they shoot you an email 2 days later saying, hey, can you share this with me on yada, yada, yada. You can put that in there a lot easier than doing it on the phone. So that's kind of nice. We'll put back on that. You've got checklist streaks, not super special. We'll scroll down and all that. Information regarding eBird. eBird and Cornell Lab are really, really good at being up on the times and all that. So right now we've got some coronavirus stuff, all that. Usually they'll have a thing on either Global Big Day or just some sort of ad that kind of is like a big compiled birding event that they want to get a lot of people on board with. And then you have, usually there's like a contest or something like that. The rules in it are all under that, so you can go and look through that all yourself. You'll have your eBirders of the month. For some reason, there always tends to be someone from Ohio or something like that, which is, I guess, nice for our area. But so, I'm pretty sure these all combined, it's just putting out a lot of content, and a lot of birding and stuff like that. Scroll down, just a bunch of different stats. Nothing super special. These can be found on the Explore page too, so we'll go through and look at that. You get your top photos, which is really fun to look at. People can submit photos to eBird, and a lot of them are really, really good. It's just super fun to look at them. Top audio, you can submit audio as well, so these are all fun to listen to. And then one cool page is the rarities portion and stuff. You'll see that any birds that people get good pictures of that are rare birds for their area can end up on here. Sometimes you'll find stuff that's close to you. Makes it very fun to kind of go if you're more of like a chase birder and all that. And then just some more about stuff at the bottom. There is an eBird store. It's an interesting concept, but I kind of dig it. So we'll go and look at the Explore page. That's where the majority of our fun's going to take place, because you can explore by species. They have this fun little Surprise Me tab too, so it'll just pop up and give you a random species. So we got the orange-backed troupial, and it'll just give you a range map based on eBird data itself. This is going to be different actually than we'll talk about later. If you go onto the species range tab or something like that. This is actually a different map because you can't interact with these points. It just gives you kind of density estimates and all that. And we'll look at that a bit later. This just gives you a map where it's supposed to be. Top photos, all the media associated with it, video and all that. Just a really cool thing. Some stuff for Merlin app. Highly recommend that. I can maybe do a later video on that if you guys would like. But yeah, so that's what happens if you search. Just, let eBird give you another bird. Similarly, explore regions. Right now, we've got major regions, so you're just going to want to, these are like kind of big places, so you're not going to be searching like, for example, I live across the street from a prairie. You're not going to be searching Springbrook Prairie in this. This is going to be more like your states. So let's say I want to search Illinois. I'm going to search Illinois. And it's going to give me all the checklists, all the species that have been found in Illinois. So these are the most recent things, like yesterday, just because it's about a day buffer for approval and all that, so I'm not putting this stuff out just yet. As you can see, there's been definitely over 9,000 checklists, almost over 900,000. High counts, you'll get, oh God, 10,000. Yeah, it's not, I don't look at this too much. I really enjoy, especially if you're looking at different places. We're going to go into the bar chart thing. So this is a bar chart of what species you'd be expected to find by density, kind of based on what time of year. So obviously Illinois is a really broad kind of location. There's nothing that says that these are going to be showing up in my area. But if we change the location, we can come in, we can pick our location. So let's say Illinois, and I want hotspots in Illinois. You can do counties if you're a county birder. Important bird areas are really awesome to look at. I tend to stick to hotspots just because that's where I bird the most. So we're going to click that. We're going to go and continue on. And it'll give you a big list of just a bunch of different bird hotspots that you'd have in Illinois. So let's go to, we'll scroll all the way down to Springbrook Prairie. I believe Springbrook Prairie is a hotspot. You can tell something's a hotspot, like we looked in the eBird app, just by the presence of the red flame right next to it. That means it's a hotspot. So we're gonna, I should have chosen one that was further up in the alphabet. Since I'd use the alphabet, so still going. SP Spring. Okay, so Springbrook Prairie is not. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, Springbrook Prairie Forest Reserve, located right by me. So we're gonna go, and we're gonna continue because we've selected that as our area. And now it's going to give me bar charts based on everybody else's eBirded, everything that they've recorded, based on what you would expect at what time of year. So right now, obviously, we're in, kind of the middle of March. We're expecting a lot of geese. Blue-winged teals are showing up. Wood ducks are present. Shovelers. Obviously, right now, we're kind of in like the waterfowl migration kind of thing. I'll probably end up doing a video on waterfowl identification, maybe in a week or so. So yeah, you just go, it goes taxonomically, so you can see what's to be expected and what kind of density based on what everyone else has reported. As you can see, as you get further down, you're getting a lot of your later migrants, your gnatcatchers, some of your sparrows, and definitely the warblers are the one that everyone's, going to be keyed in, especially in Illinois in May. But yeah, so that's the hotspot thing, and that's, bar charts specifically are really nice because if you're trying to plan on going birding at a certain time of year, it's really nice to kind of know what you're expecting, because I would hate to be, an amateur birder and be, I want to go see warblers and everything like that, and go to find out that I'm going to be looking for ducks instead. And I love a good duck, but it's definitely not what I was looking for. So we're going to go back to the Explore page. Explore hotspots will give you the same thing that we just did by accessing a different place. But what's nice is that you can come in and you can kind of look at all the hotspots in the world. There's a lot of them. And you can type in your hotspot name into this bar right here. So that's super nice. And it'll give you the same content it did when we looked it up. It'll give you different lists from each different hotspot. So whoever's been birding in, say, Springbrook Prairie, it'll give me the list that they reported. So I know I have a good chance of what I'm looking for. Species maps is one thing that I use a lot. And so when I'm definitely chasing a bird, there's a certain bird I wanted to see. I know this winter I had this with northern shrike. So we're going to type northern shrike. No, not northern cassowary, northern shrike, right here. And it's going to give us all the actual reports instead of just a map like we saw with the species map through the species plan, or the species page. So if we scroll in here, you can see that all these dots, this purple mass, is made up of, the further you get in, eventually it'll pop up. It's all made up of individual points. And so, depending on how you sort your date, you're going to have completely different points that pop up. Let's say I want to sort by year-round, but only for the current year. So I want to know where I'm looking for northern shrikes right now. These are all the points where people have reported northern shrike in the past year. So as you can see, Naperville, that's that Springbrook Prairie Forest Reserve, yep. If you click on a point, it'll give you the exact location, and it'll give you the people who have listed it, as well as, if you click the date, you can open up their actual list. It'll give you their list, and this person submitted a picture with it. That's super nice. And that just tells me that is, in fact, the northern shrike there right now. So if I wanted to go on a shrike hunt, I wouldn't be using the species range map that you find in the species profile. I'd actually be using let's back out of this quick. Back up. I would be using the species maps because that's the one that's going to give you interactive points, which is really nice if you're a bird chaser like I am. I really wanted to see northern shrike, and so that would be what I'd be using because I can interact with those different points and I can see specifically the location of where they've been reported. Target species, I haven't used this much. I know it's certainly nice for people who are definitely doing big years. That's kind of the way that it makes it a lot easier to kind of categorize what you want to look for. The last thing I'm going to discuss, though, is the alerts page, which you can also find going through the My eBird tab, and actually I'll show you guys that quick. As you can see, it basically pops up the same thing as the My eBird tab does on the app, but with a couple different things. The main thing that we'll talk about is the Manage My Alerts, section that we were talking about a second ago. So all your alerts are possible, and you can get rare bird alerts. So like we talked about in the eBird app, certain birds that will be reported that aren't expected in the area, and those are going to be the birds that a lot of people are chasing because it's always nice to see something aside from a cardinal or a chickadee or something like that. So you can set these rare birds alerts or need alerts for different counties or different states. So what you're going to want to do, as you can see, I have a lot. I have a lot of different places that I end up birding, from Michigan to Ohio to Wisconsin, anything like that. So I set up all of them just because. And so what you want to do is you're going to want to go to this rare bird alert or the needs alerts. You're going to type in a certain county. So say I want, Lake County, Illinois. I know I'm not part of that one. Lake County. We'll find Illinois. So I want rare bird alerts for Lake County, Illinois. You can either view it and look at what's been recent that's popped up on it, or you can hit subscribe. And that will add it to your list of rare bird alerts. And then, depending on what it is, I know when I'm living in Ohio, I like having daily and hourly bird alerts for rare birds in Ohio because if something pops up, I'm going to hop on right away instead of, I don't want to find out about it at the end of the day if it's going to be gone by the end of the day. So I like pronto, right there it is, and I'll end up chasing that bird. So like you see here in Hamilton, hourly. Greene County in Indiana, I birded once, so I have it on daily. But if I wanted to change it to hourly, I just hit the change. You can change it from daily to hourly. You can unsubscribe from it if you'd like. I know I'll have to go in and take out Lake County because I don't bird there at all. North. Same thing for needs alerts, just for birds that you don't have in a certain county. So if you're interested, if you're doing a big year, you can do it for this year only, and that'll give you any bird that you haven't reported in the past year in a certain county. It'll pop up with that bird, similarly to with the rare bird alerts, and it's going to send you that in an email, actually, to whatever email that you have associated with your eBird account. So it's super nice. Definitely can get a little bit heavy sometimes if you have a lot of hourly rare bird alerts because you're getting those constantly. But other than that, it's a super, super nice tool. It's really helpful if you're one of those chasers like I am who likes to go see birds that aren't to be expected. It's also really nice if you're planning on going to a certain area. If you set one of these about a week in advance, you're going to get build up and you're able to see, you know, is there anything rare that I'm in the place that I'm going to be headed to anyways. I know I've done that when I'm coming back home to Chicago a lot. So, yeah, that's mainly some of the really big capabilities of the eBird desktop. But one thing that I want to add is that obviously there's a lot more stuff, and I definitely encourage you guys to go through and look and see and just kind of explore. It's a super cool website to explore. There's a lot of information, data, all sorts of things. And so don't let this, you know, we have a lot of time right now. So if you're interested in just looking through, just go explore, you know, explore birds, regions, and all that. See if you can find anything interesting, because the eBird website has tons of capabilities, a lot of data, a lot of really good data too, because they check it. And so it's super fun sometimes to just explore, and it's a super fun tool. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this instructional little how-to video and all the cool tips and tricks of eBird have been really helpful for you. If you're with the club, I sincerely, again, just want to thank you guys for sticking with me through this admittedly really unorthodox time. I know it's not probably the easiest way of delivering bird-related materials to you guys, but I sincerely hope that it's better than nothing. If you want to reach out, if there's anything else that you can think of that you'd like to see, shoot me an email. I'll leave my email address down in the comments below or in the description. You can also leave any requests in the comments below if any of you feel like you'd like to. With that, thank you guys again for watching. I hope you guys are all in good health. For us Miami students, happy spring break, and yeah, peace out and happy birding.